Hello, welcome to an episode of AWS She Builds Tech Skills here in North America. I'm one of your hosts, Candace Bohannon, and I'm really excited to be here today with some ladies from the AgentCore team. Maybe you heard about this almost a month, I don't know, at the end of July, we had the New York Summit and Swami announced this. And I saw them do an internal session and I was like, do you want to be on the show? So anyways, that is what we're doing here today. We're going to teach you just a little bit more about AgentCore. So I did my little intro and hopefully you guys have seen me before. As you're kind of settling in and starting to watch this stream, let us know where you're dialing in from. I am based in Minnesota and it's actually a beautiful day with just a little bit of Canadian smoke, but happy to be here today. Amanda, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah.
Tell us what you do, where you live, stuff like that.
Absolutely. I'm excited to join today. My name's Amanda Lester. I am a go-to-market specialist at AWS, and I specialize in our generative AI and our agentic AI services. Based in Dallas, been at Amazon for a little over 5 years now, and super excited to talk a little bit more today about our new agentic AI services.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We'll just keep going like around. How about you next, Yan Yan?
Sure. Thanks, Candace. Hi, everyone. This is Yan Yan. I'm a senior generative AI data scientist in the generative AI team supporting AgentCore as well as our Amazon Bedrock. And I'm based in Houston, actually, but I'm visiting Seattle this week for some other work. And we have nice weather outside. So glad to be here talking about AgentCore. Thanks for having me.
And finally, Madhu.
Hello, everyone. I'm Madhu Samhita Vangara. I'm a specialist solution architect for generative AI. I'm a part of the same team as Yan Yan. I support Bedrock, AgentCore, and Strands Agents. Nice meeting you all here.
It's definitely, you guys are like in the hottest, the most hotness of the hot stuff happening at AWS right now. I'm like the forgotten stepchild, not really, but I cover QDev and Kiro, which is also a hot topic. We'll be diving further into Kiro in our episode next week, and I'll talk about it again at the end of this episode. But AgentCore is very much the thing that is going on right now. So as you guys are starting to watch this, drop any questions or comments that you have into the chat. Have you seen AgentCore before? Did you watch the New York Summit? Let us know what you think. And as we kind of kick it off, let's just explain what is AgentCore. We've said this word a dozen times already, but maybe I think this one is Amanda's to help us kind of orient and get started with AgentCore. Can you help us understand?
Yeah, absolutely. So Amazon Bedrock AgentCore is a set of services and tools that AWS provides that makes it easier for customers to be able to go in and deploy and operate agents securely and at scale using any framework and any agentic framework that you may use to build your agents with. And it works with any model. So super, super flexible. And this is a set of services and tools that we just recently announced at the AWS New York Summit a little under 2 weeks ago. So we'll dive a little deeper into it. And this is available in preview, and we're super excited about these services.
Cool.
The reason why we built AgentCore is because getting agents to production can be very hard. There's a lot of different, when you look at putting an agent, even in a POC or when you're experimenting with your agents, there's a lot of different steps that you have to figure out. The first, one of the first key problems when you're looking at deploying an agent to production is fundamentally, how do you securely execute and scale that code that you're using for that agent? You know, how do you build, how do you configure, how do you scale an agent runtime, and then how do you handle that code in a very secure manner. And it's not just about scaling the compute, it's also about being able to ensure the security and isolation guarantees. And that's one of the key areas that AgentCore solves for with an AgentCore runtime service.
And as you're probably switching slides, here is this original blog post. You kept saying secure, so I just want to make sure that's in the blog post title. It's really a lot about being able to do this in a secure fashion. So just wanted to reiterate that. And I also have a friend dialing in here. Kyle, he does security stuff. So he works here at AWS and also is a security guy. So we've got some security peeps on the line who can, maybe ask you some hard questions. I hope not. Don't ask too hard questions. But anyways, security, foundational.
Yes, yeah, absolutely foundational. It's job zero for AWS and is job zero for any agentic workload that you're putting into production. The other key problem that AgentCore solves for is when you look at building and scaling your agents, you also need to make sure that agent can remember all of the past interactions that a customer is having. So when you and why is that important is because an agent needs to be able to improve over time, and it will allow by being able to access a store of both short and long-term memory, an agent can then be more personalized in that customer interaction. And then the third area where AgentCore really solves for is agents need to be able to securely leverage the identities and access controls on behalf of the users and systems that they're interacting with. So for example, when it comes to these agentic workflows, as an agent is trying to solve a problem, it may need to access the identity and access controls to go in and access tools and data securely, leveraging those fine-grained access IAM permissions. So that agent can only access the systems and data sources that it has a permission to access and allow. So that's another area that AgentCore is solving for, is by providing the identity service. And then the fourth area is agents are only as valuable as the actions that they can take to solve the problem. And to help with that, AgentCore provides access to a number of agentic and common tools. One example of this is we have AgentCore Code Interpreter, which is the ability to go in and perform tasks like complex math calculations. And in order to do that, you need to be able to give the agent access to a tool that it can leverage to solve that problem. A second tool that we're providing with AgentCore is the ability. It's called Amazon AgentCore browser, which allows your agent to be able to interact with common interfaces such as a browser. So it allows that the agent to take action by going in and leveraging data from the website and filling in forms, for example, on behalf of a user or a set of users in order to solve that complex workflow. And then the other areas that are important when you're looking at bringing an agent to production is being able to provide access to a host of different tools in order to solve that problem. So for example, by an agent, in order to solve a problem, an agent may need to go in and access Salesforce. It may need to go in and access Oracle. It may need to access your internal knowledge base in order to solve that problem. And that's where being able to go in and discover and connect with those custom tools and resources is paramount. and AgentCore provides that capability. And then finally, with these agentic workloads, one of the key fundamental problems is when you're putting hundreds of these agents into production, you need to understand what is your agent doing in production, and if and you need to be able to understand in detail what are the specific actions that agent is taking in order to solve for that problem. And if an agent fails and is not able to address a problem, being able to understand why why it wasn't able to address that problem and where it failed or where there was an error. And that's where you need telemetry and observability in order to solve that problem. So this is a set of problems that AgentCore solves for specifically, and we have purpose-built services and tools for each one of these key problems when it comes to getting an agent into production.
Awesome. So here is a link to the docs, the documentation. Good place to get started there. Of all of these areas, is there anything that's kind of like resonating with our viewers? What seems most important or interesting to you? Let's drop it in the chat, get some conversations going as we go through these slides and gear up for a couple of demos. What do you want to see? We already have a couple canned demos for you anyways, but what would you like to see? All right. So what do we have? Any comments from Madhu, Yan? What's your favorite thing going on here within the whole suite of AgentCore?
Yeah, if I can actually share a little bit from my perspective, like, I mean, personally, I love all the areas Amanda just talked about, right? But if I can name one, maybe two of them, like I love the most, my favorite, one would be the agent memory, AgentCore memory. Because think about like the agent, right? Think about, for example, a shopping bot, like a shopping agent that supports your daily shopping. You really want a shopping agent to know your personal preference, right? You don't want to talk about with a machine who knows nothing, right? And the machine forgets about things like every 6 seconds, and you keep to remind them like what you want. That will be very hassle, and you don't want to have those kind of experience. But think about an agent with memory that can memorize your preference, what you bought, your shopping history, right? Even like within just one session, you don't have to keep remind them like what are the products I'm interested in. Those will provide, just like just like a real shopping experience that we were looking for. So I really like the memory piece. And another piece I can also probably mention is about observability. I believe later Madhu will share, the demo. But when we really build this service, we made, ease of use in mind. That is one of our core principles. We want the service to be, very handy but still very powerful. And we also try to make that, framework agnostic. So anyone with any type of agent can use our observability to get the core basic fundamental from those. So yeah, I hope later you can also have the same feeling as I do.
Yeah, you kind of covered what people seem to be most interested about. We see here from Apple, I'm sorry if I messed up your name, curious about agent memory. You nailed that one. Of course, we want to see demos. Demos are the best part. So very excited. No pressure to Madhu. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for the demo. And then observability as well. And then there's one more comment that came in from Tim Manning, A2A security best practices. And so we definitely care about security, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those as well. So we're on track, I think. We're covering the things that our viewers want to see. Woo!
Excellent. Yeah, we will absolutely go into that. And I think the other big thing is that's my favorite, other than the services, is the fact that every single one of these services is composable. So you don't have to use them in isolation. If you have, you can build the way that you want to build and leverage certain services depending on your specific use case and needs. So for example, and you'll see this in the demo today, if your preference is actually not to leverage the AgentCore runtime, and instead you want to host your agent and self-host it on another service, you can do so, but then leverage AgentCore memory to handle the short and long-term memory retention. So super flexible across the board. And out of all of the services, I think that's the piece that I like the most is, how flexible this is. You can build the way you want to build as a developer.
I would second that absolutely, Amanda, because as builders are building and iterating and experimenting, it just helps that they can experiment with any open source framework. They can try different models, and at the same time, they can pick and choose which of these parts of the services that would benefit their use case.
Awesome. And just before we kind of continue, let's see. I'm going to call you Banny. Banny has a question about hands-on materials in a playground, and we happen to also have some samples available in GitHub. So go check this out. I didn't introduce Brittany at the beginning, but Brittany is one of our other hosts, and she's playing chat moderator today. So she'll probably drop this in for you if she hasn't already. But go check out the repos here.
We have so many resources available on the GitHub repository, code samples, and some getting started tutorials as well. And then on the AWS blog, we also have another set of blog posts all around how to leverage AgentCore, and we will be launching some additional resources soon as well that you'll be able to leverage. But I highly recommend starting with the documentation and taking a look at the code samples to be able to that are pre-built. That'll make it easier for you to experiment with the variety of different AgentCore services.
Awesome.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a deep dive into each of these AgentCore services and how it can address some of those challenges that developers have when they're bringing an agent to production. I'm going to start with AgentCore Runtime, which is fundamentally how do you securely scale your agents in a secure and serverless way. And AgentCore Runtime is it's framework and model deployment agnostic. It's use case independent, and the third is that you can secure the workload with enterprise grade isolation. And what does that mean? Is that one of my favorite aspects of AgentCore Runtime is that you can deploy and scale your AI agents and tools dynamically in a secure manner, regardless of the framework that you're using to build your agents with. Regardless of the protocol that you're using, whether that's agent-to-agent protocol for communication, or the model that you're using to further extend the capabilities of that agent. So really flexible in terms of the model choice. And various. I get the question all the time, like, what's an agentic framework? And there are a variety of different tools that are available today to be able to go in and build your agents, and that includes Strands Agents, LangChain, LangGraph, CrewAI. And the wonderful thing about AgentCore Runtime is you could go in and build your agents using that agentic framework, but then deploy it on AgentCore Runtime. So you have a lot of flexibility there. And my favorite aspect of AgentCore Runtime is the fact that this is it can be leveraged for workloads that are running up to 8 hours, which is the longest runtime in the industry today. So really providing flexibility and to be able to build the way you want to build and deploy it at scale, and then deploy it for those long asynchronous workloads.
Awesome. Cool. Way better than Lambda, huh?
Lambda's great. Actually, Lambda's great, and you could still leverage Lambda for those 15-minute. Yes. I think the limit's up to 15 minutes, right. Which is still, you could still leverage Lambda or EKS for that. But I think for those agentic workloads where you're wanting to leverage it for up to 8 hours, and you're looking for specific checkpoints and recovery, for that graceful recovery to handle those unexpected interruptions. That's where AgentCore Runtime is going to help provide that. But you could absolutely leverage Lambda, EKS, CC2 to run your agents as well. This is just a very purpose-built runtime. And the other piece that's important to note here is this can scale up to, it's not just around the length of time, but it's also the number of agent invocations that it can scale up to. So you can scale up those agentic workloads in seconds for up to thousands of agent invocations. So lot of ability to handle those like large payload sizes.
Nice. Oh, look, we got a quick little comment. I definitely can't pronounce this, and I'm sorry. Strands Agents research engineer here. 8 hours runtime is pure gold. That's awesome. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible what our science and engineering team have been able to accomplish, and we're going to continue getting better and really making sure that AgentCore Runtime is one of the best options out there for customers. And when you think about where AWS is uniquely positioned is to be able to do this at scale, it's all around security. Being able to handle these agent workloads at scale and also provide that long running runtime for those asynchronous workloads.
Nice.
And also just from like a gigabyte sized payload as well across these variety of different types of modalities that you may want to be leveraging as a developer. Yan, anything else here that you wanted to call out that you like about AgentCore?
No. Yeah, I just want to, echo on what Amanda just mentioned, the payload size, because we understand, not every, agent are same, right? There are agents definitely needs the multimodality capability here. So that's why we support a very big payload. So you can input not only images, but potentially also videos for your, personal usage, right?
That's awesome. Definitely opening up the possibilities there by increasing the time, the payload, all of these sort of things with security, all foundational built in.
Yes, absolutely. The other service that AgentCore has other than runtime is when you think again about building an agentic workload, is your agent needs to be able to call a set of tools and data sources in order to solve for a particular customer problem. And for this specifically, that's where we have AgentCore Gateway, which provides a really easy and secure way for developers to be able to go in and build, deploy, and help the agent to discover the right and connect to the right tool or data source in order to solve for that problem at scale. And specifically, what this is a one-click integration with very popular tools. Such and by tools I mean this is Salesforce, this is Jira, this is Zendesk, this is Asana. These are the types of software as a service tools that an agent may need to go and access in order to solve that problem. And this gateway makes it really easy to be able to leverage those APIs in a RESTful manner to be able to access that data securely. And the other key piece that I would call out here is the fact that Gateway also supports OpenAI, AWS Lambda, and has a lot of flexibility in terms of inputs. And then as the set of tools and SaaS applications that your agents may need to go in and find. This also comes with built-in semantic search capabilities to make it easier for that agent to go find and use the right tool to solve a customer's problem. And then the other piece here that I wanted to call out is, again, with security, is this ties directly into AgentCore Identity, which is a service that specifically allows an agent to be able to securely access the right tool. And it provides a really secure manner for centralized access management using IAM controls, and where you can essentially go in and delegate access for agents based on the unique identity provider that you may have set up. So if you're using Okta or Microsoft Entra ID or Amazon Cognito, your agent, in order to solve a customer's problem, can basically take that existing identity provider policies and leverage that authentication to then access that set of tools from Gateway accordingly, and then also to be able to go in and streamline that agent experience.
So we did get a question from the audience. When we're talking about the AgentCore Gateway, how does this relate to API Gateway? The question specifically is, does it replace it or kind of work parallel to it? But talk about how they work probably together.
Yeah, Yan, are you able to take that one?
Sure. Actually, so it is an agent API gateway. So basically, so the AgentCore Gateway is an agent API gateway. And actually, I want to share a little bit best practice here. Like when you try to really deploy your API, into the gateway, it's first we do have different parameters available. There's one parameter called exception level. If you set that level to be debug, you actually it allows you and enable you to really debug and get all the details, when you try to deploy it. So please do make sure to set that to the right level when you try to deploy your gateway. Another thing is we strongly suggest our customer to review their gateway regularly. So we understand, your API is always evolving, right? They may not be stable. So once you have, your API keep evolving, so do regularly review your gateway. Make sure it aligns very well and it works well with your agent.
Perfect. Thank you for that too. Dropping those knowledge bombs.
And this is the other piece that I would add is where Gateway makes this easy is you can this makes it easy for a developer to be able to go in and convert APIs, Lambda functions, and existing MCP compatible tools. And make them available to your agents specifically through a gateway endpoint in just a few lines of code. So this it makes it really easy to be able to provide that one-click integration directly, and to be able to convert those existing APIs that you may be using already.
Cool. I'm getting antsy for a demo. Are we getting close to demo time?
Yes, I think the only other two things I wanted to make sure, because the demo is going to go through, the only other thing I want to just introduce the audience to is around observability.
Yes.
So specifically in the demo, we're going to show how to leverage AgentCore in action on AgentCore Runtime, and then also in a self-hosted environment. And for every single one of these AgentCore services, it's so important that you understand what is your agent doing in production. Are there specific errors that agent is going into? And that's fundamentally where observability as a best practice is going to be so important to be able to understand and get full transparency into an agent's behavior in terms of what tools an agent leveraged, if there were specific errors that the agent ran into and was unable to address a certain problem. And observability is, in my mind, is an imperative when you're looking at running agents at scale. And this is specifically built on and works directly to emit the telemetry data and leverages open telemetry format. So that's a standardized format and compatible format that will make it easier for you to align with these and enable customers to be able to integrate easily with their existing monitoring and observability tech stack. And this also works directly with IAM access controls, and it comes with that PII redaction capabilities. So we're going to go through that AgentCore demo, but keep in mind that we're also going to showcase how you can leverage observability with each of these different services from AgentCore, and understand what's occurring from where that agent was hosted to which tools that agent leveraged in order to accomplish a task, down to from a memory perspective, which data sources were leveraged, as well as the identity. And that observability service really provides that end-to-end visibility into what your agents are doing at scale. But yeah, so without further ado, I think we'll go into a demo of AgentCore Runtime for agents deployed on AgentCore Runtime, and then Madhu is also going to take us through agents that are not hosted on AgentCore Runtime, where you may be using EC2, EKS, or Lambda specifically to run your agents and deploy them at scale.
Awesome. Okay, then let's swap the screens around. Madhu, you ready?
Absolutely.
So excited for a demo. Let's see. And remember, audience, as you have questions, comments, whatever, drop them in the chat. We love to hear it.
Yeah. Then let's get into the demo then.
Yeah.
Just a quick check. My screen is visible.
Yep, I see it. If anyone's having trouble with the size of the font or anything, just let us know. It looks good to me, though.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Amanda, for sharing that context to what AgentCore Runtime can achieve. But as you shared, that observability is a very key concept as you iterate and develop many agents. What I have prepared here today is walking you through the different steps that enable you to experiment with a simple agent. We'll start with a simple Strands agent, which uses open source Strands Agents SDK. What we're going to do is walk through the steps of how to deploy a simple agent onto AgentCore Runtime to leverage all the benefits that Amanda previously shared that enables us to host that agent on AgentCore Runtime. Following which, what we will see is, yes, it's always great to experiment with a lot of agents, but it is very important we continuously iterate and optimize the performance of these agents. And that is exactly where AgentCore observability comes into place. We'll go through the different steps required to do, and I think at the end of this video, let me know how easy it was to set this up, specifically for runtime. Earlier, we were chatting about what are your favorite aspects of AgentCore. For me specifically, it is how easy it is to get observability up and running, and you're able to easily see what's going on within your agent and why your agent is doing any action, what are the outputs, etc. With that context, let me dive into what we will be building today as a part of our demo today. What I have here is a simple Strands agent that has access to two tools. How we built this is with the help of an inbuilt Strands tools, which is a calculator tool. So this agent is able to simply conduct some mathematical calculations, and a dummy tool, which is simply to return the weather. Let's not focus on the tools here, but this is what a simple agent can do. Now, you can replace this part of the architecture with any open source agent here. It could be some of your favorite open source frameworks, but here I'm using a Strands agent. That is using a Bedrock model to perform its underlying actions. In this architecture, I'll be using Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 4, and we'll be seeing how to enable observability for this agent hosted on AgentCore Runtime with the help of CloudWatch.
The other piece I just wanted to just call out here is the fact that this architecture, while that we're showing that this is an agent that is built with Strands, this runtime is framework agnostic. So you could build this, you could still build your agent with with LangChain or LangGraph or CrewAI, et cetera. But this architecture example would still work if you choose not to build with Strands Agents. So again, providing developers with full flexibility.
Thanks for that call out. Yes, and that is one of my favorite aspects of AgentCore Runtime as well. So just to keep in mind, to enable observability on AgentCore Runtime, some of the prerequisites include enabling transaction search on Amazon CloudWatch. This is a one-time step for first-time users, and once you are able to enable CloudWatch, you will be able to see the different aspects, and I'll walk you through the different steps. So if this is your first time enabling transactions search on Amazon CloudWatch, please go, we'll share the documentation link on the steps to enable transaction search on Amazon CloudWatch. One important aspect, as Amanda shared previously about observability, is the standard open telemetry standard that enables us to instrument the traces generated by the agent. So when you when you create the environment to experiment with this, please make sure to include AWS OpenTelemetry Python distribution that enables you to automatically instrument the traces generated by the agent that we are going to host on runtime. With these two simple steps, that's all it takes to enable observability. Now let's go ahead and create the agent and host it on runtime. So first things first, as I mentioned, you generally start with experimenting for an agent in a local environment. As I previously mentioned, I'm using the Strands SDK. So here, I'll just break down the code for the agent I have here and how I'm attaching a Bedrock model that is going to be leveraged by my Strands agent. Here, I'm using two types of tool definitions. If you see, my Strands agent is calling an inbuilt tool that is a calculator tool. And I want to quickly call this out as well. I highly recommend to check out the Strands tools repository on GitHub. It has so many inbuilt tools for you to get started with and play around with your agents. So we'll be using the inbuilt calculator tool, followed by creating a dummy tool using the @tool decorator that will simply return a string when the user asks to get weather. So with these two tools, and this is how easy it is to get started with Strands agents to create a simple agent. And if this is your first time creating an agent, this is how you get started. So we'll be leveraging the Sonnet 4 model along with the two tools, and this is how it would look like in a local experimentation. So if I simply call the Python script that we previously created with what is the weather now, you will see that it returns, it accesses the weather tool using the tool decorator and returns the sunny string. So yeah, we have our agent up and running, but now let us see how we host this and prepare this agent for deployment on AgentCore Runtime. Not only is adding observability easy, preparing your agent to host it on AgentCore Runtime, all it takes is 4 steps. I'd like you to focus on these 4 aspects where we start with importing the Runtime app using the Bedrock AgentCore Runtime, where you're able to import the library from this package. You initialize the app in the code with the help of this command. So this is the second line that is required to deploy this agent. To create an entry point, Bedrock AgentCore provides a decorator. So you are able to decorate the invocation of your agent using app.entryPoint. That means every time you invoke the agent, it is decorated by this app.entryPoint. Next, to let AgentCore Runtime control the running of this agent, in your main, you will define app.run. That's it. The previous agent that you had, by adding simply these 4 lines of code, you have prepared an agent that is ready to be deployed on AgentCore Runtime. Well, what happens behind the scenes when you add these 4 lines is it automatically creates a HTTP server that listens on the port 880. It implements the required invocations endpoint required for processing the agent's requirements, and it handles the proper content types and response format all in the backend. With this, now that we have prepared the agent to be hosted on runtime, let's go ahead and create a role that helps you with the comprehensive configuration that lets you create the different container images, environment variables, and the encryption settings and the protocols required to deploy this agent on runtime. In the samples repository, you will see a utils function that is already provided to quick start on creating this role required to deploy it on runtime. So I've quickly attached that role policy using the utils function that is provided in the samples repository. Now that we have prepared the agent entry point, what we are going to do now is, if this is your first time using AgentCore Runtime, I highly recommend to check out the Bedrock AgentCore Starter Toolkit that simplifies this process for you. All it takes is to include the different requirements that are needed to run this Strands agent. And as I previously mentioned, we will be using the Strands agent. We're using Bo2.3. We're going to use Bedrock AgentCore and the Starter Toolkit for the configuration. To enable observability with AgentCore Runtime, you will also need to include the AWS OpenTelemetry Python distribution. So you will mention that requirements file in your configuration using the Bedrock AgentCore Starter Toolkit. What this step does is it is able to auto-create your ECR repository that will store the image. Once you run the cell, it is configuring the different Docker images that are required to host this on the endpoint. A quick call out here, if you see the Docker file that is generated after the configuration, on using Bedrock AgentCore Starter Toolkit, automatically instruments the agent that we previously created. So you will see that OpenTelemetry instrument command is already included when you create this configuration using the Bedrock Agent Starter Toolkit. So this is how you configure by passing the entry point of the previous agent that we created in the previous cell. I'll take a quick pause here to see if there are any questions about the configuration steps.
We haven't gotten anything from the audience, but that is sweet how simple that is. That was very cool to me. Please make my life easier where I don't have to remember all the things. So that was very cool.
And it really is like a few lines of code.
Yeah.
Like, literally can, I mean, there's that's the visually you can see this. It is so simple. It's not we're trying to make it as easy as possible for developers to get started here with it.
And another thing to highlight is you can see there's basically no code block that is for observability. It's already built into the runtime.
Absolutely. Thanks for that call out. Just 2 steps: enable transaction search and include AWS OpenTelemetry distribution, and you're automatically able to invoke AgentCore observability with your runtime agents. So yes, now we have configured this agent. How you're able to launch it is simply by calling AgentCore runtime.launch. This will launch this agent into the auto-created ECR repository. Here we have set auto-create ECR repository to true. So it will the starter toolkit will take care of doing this creation for you. And once this is launched, you will be able to see the progress as you see in the screen here. You're able to see where it pushes. You're able to see that the status of the agent, etc. So once the launch result is successful, what you will also get to do with the AgentCore Runtime is see the status once that is going on. Here, I see that after deployment of the agent on the ECR repository, my agent is ready to execute. Sometimes, please note that this could take a few minutes, so it helps to run this cell to see if if a creation has failed or if the status is in ready state. Then you're ready to invoke your agent. So these are the different steps required to go through to experiment with a local agent, configure that agent to be prepared to be put on AgentCore Runtime, deploy that agent, and now we're going to the last step is simply invoking that agent. So invoke is a simple function. You're calling invoke function, and I'm passing the same prompt that we previously iterated with in our local agent. And you will see how with these steps, the agent that uses the Strands agent is launched the agent on AgentCore Runtime, and we are able to invoke, the user is able to invoke this application that looks like this. So this is the response that we get, and we can parse this response to get the actual response out from the agent. You are able to invoke this directly with Bedrock AgentCore Runtime as well as with Boto3. So to invoke it with Bedrock AgentCore Boto3, you will initialize a client which uses Bedrock AgentCore Boto3 client, and this is how you invoke the agent using invoke agent runtime, where we are passing the prompt in the payload, and with the help of Boto3, you're able to get the response from the agent. So
I want to also highlight one thing here. I know we're talking about observability, but I think, one thing I really want to highlight is we're using the AgentCore starter toolkit here, actually. So because we actually have a very simple agent, but in case our customer, you have very complex use cases, you can actually build your own Docker file and deploy it to AWS. So we believe this can actually give you the simplicity here, but if you need it, you also have basically a very powerful control available.
Absolutely. Thanks for highlighting that. This was a more beginner-friendly demonstration that leverages the Bedrock AgentCore Starter Toolkit that also comes with CLI options for you to experiment with, but you're also able to comprehensively configure the Docker file. And while you do that, please make sure to instrument your agent invocation with OpenTelemetry instrument to enable observability with it. So yeah, that's all the 3 steps that are required to enable AgentCore observability on Amazon CloudWatch. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how that looks on Amazon CloudWatch GenAI Observability Console. So here you see under Application Signals, you will see GenAI Observability under Preview. In this dashboard, you're able to customize, you're able to custom select the time frame of your observation window. You're able to get insights into model invocation and your agents listed on Bedrock AgentCore. So if you're a first-time user, this is the steps for you to be able to see this. You will need to turn on transaction search that will help you get these views into your console. So this is how you enable transaction search on CloudWatch. You navigate under Application Signals, go to transaction search, and this step could take a few minutes. So this is where you're able to enable transaction search on your CloudWatch window. And once you do that, you're able to get the agent details that look like this. Just a minute.
Yes, Amadou here is just making sure she's in, Oregon, US West too.
Yeah.
And Madhu, I think you need to select 12 hours. Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There we go.
So here in this agent code view, you're able to see all the agents listed in your account. You're able to see all the sessions that were initialized and all the traces as well. What you're also able to do is to dive into single agent. For example, the one that we created is this one. This is the Strands agent that is hosted on AgentCore Runtime. So you're able to get specific information about this agent in agent metrics, the total number of sessions, the traces. If at all there were any errors, you're also able to get visibility into that. Since this is a runtime hosted agent, you're also able to see runtime specific information on the console as well. To dive into it, you can go and see the different sessions that were executed by this agent, and to look into the different tool use and the individual substeps executed by the agent, you can click on the traces view and look into the span information that gives you the smallest unit of work executed by the agent. Here, you will see that the agent executed the calculator that we just invoked on runtime, and how it leveraged the Anthropic Claude model, and how it provided the end user back, end response back to the user. So it takes you through the timeline with individual visibility into the latency of each individual subspans, as well as you're able to see the trajectory of execution across the different steps of your agent, from invocation to end tool use output and the end response. So
I love how visual this is. Like just being able to see that each of these workflows, being able to see the trajectories, like it is so. One of the hardest things is being able to understand what what an agent is doing in production, and this is it's very visual. It makes it easy to see all the different steps that agents are taking.
Absolutely. Now, Amanda, what if one of your tool is running slow and you want to debug its performance? Mm-hmm. You can go in and click on that tool and see what's happening, what was the input provided, what was the output, etc. And all of this detailed information is provided within this traces.
That's very cool.
So this notebook is available in the samples repository that was previously shared. Feel free to experiment a lot more aspects of this notebook, create more and more agents so that you're able to see this information across different agents, and you're also able to dive into each individual agent. So this is how you implement observability with AgentCore Runtime and AgentCore Observability. Now let us say, what if some of you here would like to experiment with agents that is not hosted on AgentCore Runtime?
Hold on. Before we go there, I do want to make sure we've got like 5 minutes left on our stream. And so I just want to make sure that a couple of these questions from our audience get answered. So just in case, we do have a question about IAC. I'm a DevOps girl. This is a good question in my opinion, and I have no idea. You specialists, do we have CloudFormation support yet?
Yeah, Oh, go ahead, Yanyan.
Sure. So AgentCore currently is on preview. So far there's no CloudFormation or CDK support yet, but it will come very soon, like enough.
Awesome.
And we can't give specific dates on that, but this is something that we are working on.
And then one other question is more about Strands. So we've talked quite a bit about Strands. We've had a couple of episodes of She Builds about Strands as well. So what is the purpose of the Strands Agent SDK? And is it only used within AWS environments? I sort of know this one, but you'll go.
We actually believe AWS is still the best place to build, deploy, and scale your agent. However, with that being said, Strands is actually an open source agentic framework. It is a model or cloud agnostic, so you can run it with any model or any cloud providers. You don't have to use AWS to use Strands.
That's right. And I do have
where you go to build your agents, and then AgentCore Runtime is where you can go and deploy those agents that you then are building in those various frameworks, whether that's Strands or whether that's LangChain, LlamaIndex, or CrewAI. This provides you full flexibility.
And I dropped in the link here to where you can learn more about Strands agents. We also, like I said, we've had 2 different episodes specifically on Strands. One was mostly just chatting. It was me and Claire. I'm going to say her last name is Liguori. Not the greatest at, thank you. Not the greatest at pronouncing things sometimes. And then we also had an episode with Jigna and Piali from the core team, and they built out a Strands agent live. So there's one more question about Strands. Let's hit this one, and then we can go back to whatever you guys want to talk about. What is the purpose? I feel like you covered that.
Yeah, I think, So Strands Agents is the framework you can use to build your agents, and it makes it super easy to build those agents in just a few lines of code. It's an open sourced SDK that you can go in, and it really provides developers with powerful and flexible tools to be able to go in and build your agents and get those ready to go to production. But when you're ready to go to production, that's where you can leverage AgentCore to then further extend those capabilities of those agents and to be able to deploy those securely and at scale on AgentCore Runtime.
Sweet. Okay, we are running very low on time. Let's say like 3 minutes. Any last parting words that any of y'all would like to say? And then I'll close it out by asking everyone to watch us next week. Madhu, anything last parting words?
Yeah, I'd love to hear, Yanyan, any of some of the best practices when we implement this.
Sure, thank you, Madhu. So actually, I think we actually have a full list of best practice that we can share, but due to the time, I think probably let's do not cover all of them, but just a few key, I hope the audiences could take away is first, we want you to start simple and then basically expand. Because when we build the observability dashboard, for example, like Madhu shared, we already enabled a lot of details available. You are already able to, do the arrow handling, where you are able to know the latency. A lot of core informations are already there. So you really don't have to do a lot of complicated things to get started with. We don't want to basically scare you away, right? We want you to be able to really leverage all this support. So please do start simple and then expand. Another thing is more like we believe, we hope to really help our customer to set this mind up. Is observability is really something you should think about starting from day one. We know some customers, we often see them success if they have observability built in from day one, because it actually is not only a troubleshooting tool, it is able to provide a lot of optimization and suggestions, based on all your historical invocations. So please do set this up when you start just, from beginning, when you start testing your agent, start using observability so you have the full visibility available,
Awesome. Cool. Well,
And
thank
then
you. Oh,
just
go ahead.
the last piece is, to get started with Amazon Bedrock AgentCore, we have a number of resources that you can leverage. We went through today some of the AgentCore samples and the documentation, and then I highly recommend checking out the blog post as well to get an overview. But tons of resources to get started.
Very quickly, but we also shared these throughout the chat, so go back and you can click on them from there. And oops, I moved away from that. Okay, so thank you ladies so much for being on the show. We're down to our very last minute, so I'm talking really quickly. Also had 2 cups of coffee and I normally only have 1. But thank you so much for being on the show. I hope our viewers learned a little something. I know I did. At least now I know where to go to get started. So thanks so much everyone for being on the show, for watching. And next week we'll be back and we'll be talking about Kiro. So it's going to be some Kiro. I don't know if you've heard about that, but I do think that one might be some of the hotness too. I'd say AgentCore and Kiro, if we're being honest. So come back next week and see a demo of Kiro. We'll be back here on YouTube and Twitch, same time on Monday. And we hope to see you there. So thanks. We'll see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.